Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi, and I'm your host. And I really want to say thank you if you're listening to this podcast, because it's not about listening to Kivi Brothers Trucking. It's about being educated in this industry and being a change agent. And it's exciting to know that if you're tuning in, you have that opportunity to help us, because this industry is so big, so vast, that everybody plays a role in improving it. And that's important to me. And that's one of the missions that I have for this podcast, is to continue to bring back old school trucking values and keep it personal. So I'm very appreciative that you're listening. A couple topics today where I want to go through is just the market, the outlook. I think that's something we're always trying to gauge and trying to measure, and talk a little bit about safety and why it's important and things that we're focusing on for the next 45 days, until we improve to where we want to be. And the concept of change or die. I know that sounds dramatic, but I hope you take the time to listen and see what your thoughts are. But first, let's talk about the market. It's been very unique, to say the least. There's a lot of optimism for the market, including my own. I'm very optimistic for this summer, this spring, summer, fall. Those are our busy times, and I'm seeing a lot of quotes come in. So for me to measure it just based off of quotes, I know that's not a very tangible way, but more quotes is more freight. And when you start to see projects and people talking about this is up and coming, it's a good indicator. Also seeing, for month end of January, it was extremely busy. And I can't say that for every company, but for us, we felt that a lot of our customers were very aware of the timing of the year and excited and eager and pushing out as much freight as they could. So it worked very well for us. And that was another indicator that we're seeing things move up, we believe. Also, in the media and all of the things, the outlets that you can listen to or read on, continue to prove that this year is going to be a good year. So very excited. A lot of our customer base is around the oil industry, and those customers specifically with a pro oil administration are very optimistic. So, if you're interested in flatbed, or you've been in this flatbed game for a while and you're like, when is it going to happen? I think the last 3 years we can drop off and say, let's look ahead of us and be ready for the freight to come. So very optimistic. We've seen it in load count. We've seen it in driver pay. Everything is continuing to improve from the first of the year and show better signs than last year. So very optimistic there. Second, I want to talk about safety. That's one of the things that we always try to improve on. And this near future is improving logbooks. Now you'd think, why is that, a focal point for us when it's electronic? It's an ELD. It records your drive time and your on-duty time, and all you got to do is hit a button. Well, it sounds simple, but it's not. We continue to see the DOT looking for little things as trailer numbers entered wrong, shipping documents incorrect, little gray areas of PC. And if you don't have a good explanation or follow the guidelines, they will write you up. That's what they're looking for. That's their focus. And that's one of the things that we're going to change. And how we're going to do that is internally, we've set up different parameters, different triggers. As a driver here at Kivi, you're going to start to hear a lot more about any infractions on your logbook or little minor details. It's not coming from a place of reprimand. It's coming from a place of education, and that's going to continue throughout the whole company. Everyone internally even is going to get those opportunities to be educated. We're going to continue to educate, continue to deliver this information in a manner that is digestible and you can learn from. So very excited for that. You're going to probably hear a lot of feedback from our safety team Your pod leaders are getting educated. So your pod leader is going to educate the pod, and it's going to continue to just improve. And those conversations are going to become more in depth. So, so as a driver, if you hear somebody questioning on what happened here, how did this happen, or what is your plan, it's coming from a good place. And, let's talk about ways to prepare your logbook. First of all, planning, making sure that you understand what your plan is for the day. That 11 hours, I know it can seem long at the beginning of your day, and at the end of the day, there's plenty of people that are eager to get right up against it. But if you don't have a good plan and have a good outlet to park and you go over that 11, same for 14 hours or a half hour break violation, all of these things carry with you. So, for example, you have a half hour break violation. Yes, you may be able to take your 10, you may be able to get yourself corrected and back on track, but it's still on your logbook for those previous, for your your rolling 8 days. So you have to remember that it doesn't just go away. And that's just for what the DOT looks for if you get stopped at a roadside inspection. Now, down the road, if something were to happen and you had to have your logbook subpoenaed, they can look farther and farther back. So remember, it doesn't go away. It doesn't just correct itself. You have to be proactive and thinking about what you can do to prevent it. Be prepared. Always be on the defensive approach on this one. Make sure you're prepared and you're going to stop and have a plan or an outlet, because we don't want you in a scale. You do everything proper on your pre-trip or on a roadside inspection and everything looks good. You're prepared, you feel confident, and then they find something small in your logbook, because it's just what we're focusing on, and it's what our drivers need to be aware of. So you're going to see a lot more communication there, and be prepared to answer any questions, because as it's an educational process, there's going to be questions from people asking, well, how did this happen or what? So just be aware. We want to educate everyone. Part 3, I want to talk about change or die. I think this is one of the most impacting things in this industry that I see. And I mean that from a place of people are so scared to change that they have a fear of it. And so I propose this question, change or die. And I know that's very extreme, but if you had to change or die, could you? Now that might seem very obvious, like, of course, I would do whatever I had to do to avoid that situation. Well, believe it or not, change is hard. And I see so many people resist change because of fear, comfort, prior experiences, or misinformation, that it hinders them from being successful in this industry. They could prosper, but they hold back. And if you can't adapt in this industry, it's going to hinder you. And by that, I mean, we've always communicated every shipment with our drivers. Of course, we want to pre-plan and get ahead of you as you're empty, because that benefits you and that benefits the planners and that benefits the whole pod. But I've seen so many drivers in this industry, as well as at Kivi Brothers Trucking, that are afraid of lanes, that are afraid of different opportunities, maybe because somebody told them that this was going to be tough, a tough lane or a tough load or tarping or this, that they hinder their opportunities. And I can't say that enough. It seems like such a challenge sometimes to get ourselves out of our own way. And that might be the easiest way to look at it. But I get to sit on the front line so much in this company that I talk to drivers firsthand. I get to dispatch drivers. I get to deal with our customers and make sure that the customer load goes right to the planner, or even easier, right to the pod, which goes right to the driver. So I'm very close in this process and these interactions. And that is the number one thing that I think challenges this industry. Drivers talk about wanting more pay, more home time, all of these benefits that I think can be achievable for any driver. But what gets in the way most is ourselves. Is the process of, will we change or will we take on this challenge and not say no? Can we see the glass half full versus half empty? There's two people looking at the same load, and one person sees an opportunity and the other person sees challenge and resists. Which one of those two are you going to be? And that's the question that benefits. I've seen it time and time again. So if you can be on that side that's glass half full, be open arms and willing to try anything and not say no. And I don't mean that like you can't talk through the situations or understand what comes with this load or what comes with this opportunity that you need to be educated on. Not at all. It's just the fact that we have to get out of our own way. And that's more than just a driver, right? That's in the office, that's in any industry. But I think trucking and transportation has so many moving parts. There's so many decisions that have to be made. And if you're not a driver, think about this. As a truck driver, you're responsible, as I've talked, for your logbooks, for your vehicles, right? So the truck, the trailer, making sure that all 18 tires are properly inflated and they're not out of service, making sure there's no air leaks, making sure there's no electrical issues, making sure there's no fluid leaks, making sure that the body of your truck is in good condition. All of this goes on, and some of it might seem like common sense, but it's not, because DOT have extremely high standards. And when you come into that scale, if you haven't met those standards, they will penalize you. You get put in the penalty box, and that is a lot. Then you add on being away from home, and then you add on the strenuous, for a flatbed company, putting the cargo and the cargo securement on and the tarps, and then you add you're not at home and you're out on the road, and then you have to be safe with millions of other drivers that you pass in a year. It adds up and it adds up and it becomes a lot. So I understand that there's a lot of decisions. That's where sometimes we try to make too many decisions, and we have a team that is there to do that, for you to plan, to look at the lane, to look at the route, to look at the miles, to look at the best case scenario in that situation and help you with it. And when we get in the way, whether it's office, driver, somewhere in between there, we make decisions because we're afraid to change, it stops. It stops the process and it makes it hard. So the industry is always talking about driver turnover. Why is there so much driver turnover? And we're not immune to it. It's something that, for me, that's the biggest difference I've noticed from when I was young and when I went from in our shop into the truck, was the loyalty that a driver had towards its company. And I don't mean you had to be submissive and take anything you get, but there was a team effort for everything. And those drivers regarded that they weren't trying to find a new job and start over every 6 weeks. Because believe it or not, that is what we see in this industry. A lot of people start their job, they don't give it enough time to actually become something, and then they try to move on. And they start that whole process over, and they're in the hamster wheel, and they continue going and going and going. So just to recap, be optimistic, take the opportunity to hear somebody out or trust in your pod leader, those planners and customer service reps that are outside of those pods, and trust in the process. Let us help you and you help us by not stifling these processes and being successful. I believe that's the biggest opportunity right now. And any driver, no matter what company you're at, no matter what position you're at, be optimistic. You have to, because this is just, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And if you can't focus and get disciplined in that area, it's going to be tough. So embrace change, stay positive. These tough times will last, and we will persevere. So in conclusion, market, very optimistic. We're very eager. We're seeing loads continue to come in. We're seeing volumes increase, and we are hearing a lot of news for the spring and summer. Safety, focus on those logbooks. Make sure that you're doing everything you can top down. It's not just because we want to put pressure on it. It's your responsibility as a driver to make sure that those are accurate and you're successful and you're set up to be safe and compliant. And then change or die. That's extreme, but think about it. Are you willing to change? Are you stuck in your ways? Are you open to new possibilities? It's that easy, but it's hard to do. Sometimes the easiest things that seem on the surface are extremely hard to do. So thank you for tuning in. Encourage you to share, like, comment, email, text, anything you have or you would like me to talk about, please reach out. Until next time, happy trucking.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.